Hey guys, welcome back to the PGRZ Roundtable with myself, Nakiel, Lord Knight, and Ringe. Today we're going to be going through players number 30 through 21. You can find 50 through 41 and 40 through 31 from last week on YouTube or at the PG Stats Twitter. If you guys want to introduce yourselves for the day.
Go ahead, Lord Knight.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. What's up? It's Lord Knight, Beast Coast Lord Knight. You already know. Out here commentating on this. Where are we at? 30 to 21 today?
Oh,
30 to 21, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Ringe, commentator for Dragon Ball and other games. It's been a great time here on the PGRZ so far. We have covered 50 through 31, and as Nakiel said, you can find those on YouTube. You can find the list today by hitting !PGRZ in chat, and I'll bring you up to date with the latest list that we'll be looking at. And yeah, it should be fun to get the day started. Bring it in, Nak.
Yeah, so we're going to be starting out with number 30 here with Brutal Democracy Gaming's Subatomic Sabers, hailing from SoCal. You'll know him as probably the premier Vegito player, also one of the only Cell and Gotenks players left competitively as well. So I guess in late season 2, season 3 terms, pretty unique team actually. He has some really strong placings. He started pretty quietly in season 1. One of his notable placements was SCR. He got 9th place, and he really kicked it up in season 2 with NCR 3rd place. Calm Breaker he got 7th, and at Evo season 2 he came in at 17th. He's taken out some big names like Dogra, Hook Gang God, Shanks, Polyjuban, Nokami, and many other players had a lot of strong showings outside of those tournaments as well. Ringe, I guess I'll jump straight to you considering he is a local player for you. What are your thoughts on Sub?
So I like that you highlighted the fact that his team is a bit unorthodox nowadays, right? Because back when people were abusing the Ghost Oki, it wasn't all that unfamiliar.
Right.
But since then, he's really stuck with the team. That's when he first kind of came on as a notable player, is when he was doing wild things with the Ghost Oki and Vegito and Cell as well. But then he stuck with that team and really just, I mean, he's a scientist, right? Much like yourself. Much like both of you here, actually. And he explores every possibility. He's got the optimal combo punish for every situation. And he's just one of those players. And I think it's been a special treat for me specifically, since he's a local guy, to see how he's blossomed in Dragon Ball FighterZ, because this is the first fighting game that he's played, to my knowledge. At least he's come out for locally that I've seen him. So it's been awesome just to see his evolution, because as we said, we started a little slow in season 1, but season 2 he's made a lot of big splashes, played a lot of good matches, and yeah, I always enjoy watching him. He's always got a new trick in the bag, so one of my favorite players for sure.
Yeah, I've gotten the chance to play against him in tournament a few times at this point. He's one of the only people who has like just a totally positive record on me. Like I'm like 0-3 against him in tournaments. That's an example of a team that like, and you're gonna see more of this as we go on too, that like it just happens that it keeps on working. Like most of the time, like especially with people who play like super meta stuff, like once the meta gets switched up because the character changes in a patch or something, things don't work together the way they do. But Sub is really good at just continuing to extract strategies with that team, and then that's really, really interesting and cool.
Yeah, a really strong point about him as a player is that he managed to stick with the same team for so long. He also had some big wins, a big win with Frosty Faustings just recently before we stopped having tournaments. That was one of the last DBFZ events, and he took that one home after playing all day. But anyways, yeah, be sure to look out for him always, and if you need some Vegito tech, he's your boy to hit up. Number 29 will be coming in with myself. Hooray. I'll let you guys take that one away.
All right, well, we got Panda Global's Knockout here. We got some of the notable placements in Season 1. We got 5th at Final Round, 13th at EVO, 5th at UFA Ultimate Fighting Arena, and then Season 2 we got 9th at CEO. Notable wins, Hook Gang God, Moke, The Kill Sage, Wawa, Tachikawa. And yeah, I mean, as I mentioned with Subatomic Sabers, right, definitely a scientific player, always has the optimal combo, optimal punish, and I love the term LKUs when it came extracting strategies, right? He's one of these guys that will really squeeze the juice out of a team and just have everything ready, prepared for a tournament. And yeah, one of my favorite players to watch for sure because he's an adult Gohan player, and I've always been an adult Gohan player since the beginning of Dragon Ball FighterZ. So when it comes to just one of the players I like to watch the most, Nakiel's definitely on the top of my list.
Yeah, what can I actually say about my man's Nakiel? Blaze Blue God, Anime God, Adult Gohan God. In my head, his X Factor is also super high too. Like, his highs are super high. Like, of course you do well a lot, but like, they're definitely still, even for someone at Nakiel's caliber, he is still able to upset people you would not expect him to. Very fast playstyle, very aggressive playstyle. It really shows a lot like what like confident aggression looks like in the game. I think that's my favorite part about watching you play, straight up. You're never scared. You're always confident in your choices. Even if you're wrong and even means you're going to die, you're still willing to do it. And I think that's a really, really important part of Dragon Ball that, in my opinion, I am missing, or I have been missing for a long time. So I really respect that about you as a player.
And I like that you talked about the highs being so high because, yeah, when I always tell people when Nakiel is on, he can beat literally anyone in this game. So that's always something I've thought about you as a player. So it's pretty dope. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites.
Thanks, guys. We'll go on to number 28. We're going to be coming in with the big one from Sweden. We've got Team Solo Mid Leffen. Everyone knows him from Smash, you know. He started with Dragon Ball FighterZ, but it's really cool to see him play Melee. No, I'm just kidding. Long-time Smash player, came over to Dragon Ball. Everyone was really sleeping on him as a player before he got to come out and travel in Season 1. He since mostly dropped the game. Plays it casually now, Season 3 at least. Really big placements in Season 1. Got 3rd at Canada Cup, 9th at CEO, 13th at Combo Breaker, and 9th at the Summit of Power. Taking out players such as Dogra, Shanks, Wawa, Soji, and Cloud. Best known in Season 1 as the Big 21 player. He had that real close set with Goichi that everyone knows and loves from CEO that year. Yeah, just a really, really strong all-around player. Very smart and has a big drive to compete and learn.
Yeah, I really like those characteristics you highlighted at the end there, right? A huge drive to learn and compete. And I think that's what strikes me most about Leffen as a player, is that I feel like if he really puts his competitive mindset to any game, he'll be good at it. Dragon Ball FighterZ was no different story. We saw him in Season 1 take monstrous placings. And I think we thought coming into this part of the list that we would see more people that were spread out in between both seasons. But I think that just shows that if you have a really strong season here, how high you can end up, because Leffen was really a staple of that first year of Dragon Ball. We can see the placings. And as you mentioned, that match with Goichi, I mean, it's still talked about to this day. Some people still consider it the best set in Dragon Ball FighterZ. So, I mean, he left his mark on the scene despite only playing it casually now, and it's still great to see him on the list because, yeah, it was just a great time while we had him.
Yeah, as far as Leffen, I mean, I think your standard fighting game player who doesn't know his history very well would not have expected him to be so strong. But if you actually really know his story, he's played other fighting games. He's super, super competitive. He's a really, really hard worker, and obviously all those things come together in creating a strong player. I'm of the opinion he could basically be good at any game, and I think Dragon Ball was the first game, at least for the general fighting game scene, for him to really show off his skills like that.
Yeah, definitely a name to look out for, whatever he, decides to move to outside of, his longtime love, Melee. So definitely cool to see him on the list. Cool to see him still representing Dragon Ball every now and then when he plays it on stream. Hope to see more of him when tournaments start back up if he enjoys Season 3 at all. So we heading over to Japan here with number 27. We have free agent Hirohiro. I'm going to assume that most Dragon Ball FighterZ viewers don't actually know his history, but he has been playing fighting games in Japan for quite a while. Usually a very solid to very strong player. And I think he shows that in Dragon Ball FighterZ throughout his course of the game with some strong showings at Season 1 World Tour Japan. He got 9th place. Season 1 EVO, he got 25th. And then in Season 2, when he really kicked it up a notch, he got 5th at EVO, 17th at KVOX TSB, along with all his showings at Fighting Tuesday locals and things like that. He has some big wins over Fenrich, Shanks, Kindevu, Kana, and Zirak. And most people will know him from Season 2 as the Android 17 player to look out for.
Yeah, I was going to say that's where I really got familiar with Hero Hero and Dragon Ball FighterZ is when Giuno was posting the clickbait thumbnails, is 17 S tier and stuff like that with the Hero Hero Grand Finals. And, you know, it was very entertaining. I couldn't believe someone was actually playing 17 to that level. And I always kept an eye on him since then, right? And, I mean, it was easy to keep my eye on him since then because then he started getting placings like 5th at EVO and 17th at KSB and just being everywhere. Really getting a show out in Season 2. And yeah, I mean, beating some of the strongest players we have, right? We haven't even seen Fenrich and Shanks on the list yet. You know, they're going to be in the top 20. Fenrich probably the top 5. So, I mean, he's shown that his highs are incredibly impressive as well. So yeah, I can't wait to see more of Hero Hero whenever we get the chance to.
Yeah, Hero Hero is definitely a pretty storied fighting game player. You know, Dragon Ball is definitely his international debut as far as competing in the mainstream game, but he is like a Melty Blood legend, and just like in Dragon Ball and Melty Blood, he also played a pretty uncommon character, so he just picks what he likes and he just goes with it. He doesn't really care like how good the character is. He just plays what he likes and just takes them to the max, and he was definitely a champion in Melty Blood, and he shows the potential in Dragon Ball as well, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely I think you'll probably be seeing this a lot in the list as we move on, is that most of these players are not Dragon Ball only specialists. A lot of them have history in other fighting games, being competitive in those as well, and kind of porting those skills over into a different game. Coming up on number 26, back over to America, we are going to get our favorite YouTuber, Cloud805. Pretty much stopped traveling around like early-ish Season 2, but had some really strong showings in Season 1 here. Again, as a fellow Adult Gohan player, Season 1 placements were Combo Breaker 9th place. He got 13th at CEO, 17th at EVO, and 9th at the Summon to Power, taking out players like Dogra, To Kill Sage, Super Noon, Kindevu, and we just talked about him, Leffen, throughout his tenure with the game. Also, you probably already know him from Marvel. He was a Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Battle for the Stones champion. Pretty much like right before Dragon Ball competition really kicked off, right? Like that took place and took that home and peaced out.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Cloud, another SoCal cat, right? Yeah, burst onto the scene with Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Had some good showings late in the game's lifespan, and then, of course, as you mentioned, Battle for the Stones champion. Transferred those versus skills over to Dragon Ball FighterZ. It was a natural progression, right? We thought that he would pick up the game and thought he would do well early on, as he did, right? We see all the Season 1 placings. Again, another player that had a lot of great placings in Season 1, and that has kind of carried him into this far in the list, right? Because, as we mentioned, he kind of focused more on the stream and YouTube grind in Season 2 and beyond, right? He is more of being a content creator and whatnot, streaming on the daily and putting a lot of stuff on YouTube. So, Cloud, I think, is one of the most talented fighting game players in the world. I always enjoy watching him. He's one of the people I steal tech the most from. So I always appreciate him showing it off on stream and whatnot. So yeah, man. And again, as you mentioned, adult Gohan players all day. So yeah, big ups to Cloud805.
Yeah, this is another player who has the very fortunate quirk of being really good at combos. He was always maximizing, always focusing on optimizing. And as our knowledge grew in the game, we realized how actually important it was to have big combos ready on deck. So he's kind of ahead of the game on that. Really stylish player, which, you know, is entertaining for everybody and willing to take risks. A lot of the important stuff that you need to be successful in this game in general, like Cloud has, and he's definitely proved it in Season 1, I would say.
Yeah, I would love to start seeing him to start compete again whenever he's able to. Whatever game that he decides to go with, because like you guys said, he's very stylish. He's always trying to find like the really cool combos and then try to do them in tournament. Dropping them be damned, what have you. But he's always looking to entertain. So he's a very, very fun player to watch with skill to boot. So we'll go on to number 25 from France. Another big name player here. We got Arcade's Alioune. Very, very well known for Android 21 and, of course, his Majin Buu play. He has 13th at Season 1 EVO, 13th at CEO, 7th at UFA in Season 1, and at World Tour Spain, he came in at 9th. He's taken out players such as Shanks, Bombaban, Tachikawa, Chris G, and Aqua.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the lab monster section, honestly. This is another one, right, where he's a mad scientist. My man has all the tech for every situation, always ready in his pocket, right? He's like Batman with the gadgets. Any situation, he's ready for it. And, I mean, that's been a hallmark of his play throughout every single game that he's ever played, right? Back to Street Fighter 4 and beyond and whatever he played. Besides that, I always see Alioune posting this tech and figuring out things before everybody else. So there's no surprise that skill has translated to some really good results that we ran down already. And I mean, everybody is entertained by the Majin Buu tech. I know that for sure. Just another strong player out of the French region, which we see a whole lot for this game. It's a beautiful thing how global this game is and just how talented or how spread out the talent is really across the world.
Yeah, entertaining until you play against it.
Yeah. Yeah, Alioune is definitely, I would say he probably led the charge for France. Not in terms of results per se, but just like he was the first like French player we all knew. If you follow other fighting games, he's played basically everything. Always a super lab monster, and also really confident in what he thinks is good in the game. And I think that's something that is special in Dragon Ball because there's a split between, like your character specialists and people who kind of just swap a lot. I'm the latter, right? Like I switch teams a lot. But Alioune, like day one, Majin Buu, he's like, I think this character is stupid. Still plays Majin Buu. Still gets really, really good results with Majin Buu. And you just got to respect that he really, really, really pushed that character to his maximum, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We'll jump on over to number 24 here. We have, coming from Japan, another free agent. Very, very old school fighting game player. I think this is one of the most old school players you're going to see on the list, is that we have Kindevu, who has played also essentially everything for a very long time. He has some very strong results in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Specifically, he came in at 7th at Red Bull Final Summoning, which I want to actually note on as probably his most interesting placement, is because I don't think anyone really thought he was poised to qualify into Final Summoning top 8 that year. And he was a big dark horse in the bracket, came out of nowhere and qualified. Season 1, he got 33rd at EVO. Season 2, he kept consistent placing, also got 33rd that year. And then at World Tour Japan, he came in at 13th. He's taken out players such as Bombaban, Tachikawa, Apollo Jaman, Okami, Soji, and many more.
Yeah, I mean, absolute fighting game legend, right? As you mentioned, old school player. Yeah, he's just been good at everything. That's pretty much my knowledge of Kindevu. And I agree. At Red Bull Final Summoning, it's funny to say a fighting game legend is a dark horse, right? But we hadn't really seen him in Dragon Ball FighterZ up to that point. Like, I was really unfamiliar that he even played this game like that. So when he came out to the finals and not only qualified in one of the qualifying spots, but got 7th overall, got top 8. I mean, I was blown away, and it was just another impressive feat on a long list of accomplishments for this guy. So it was super cool to see him do that well in Season 1 and Season 2. He continued to do pretty well, and I just want him to stick with the game because he's one of the brightest minds that's ever graced fighting games. So if we can see more Dragon Ball FighterZ play, it'll be a treat for sure.
Yeah, Kindevu is definitely one of my senpais. I got the chance to grind with him for about a month straight, right before the Australia saga in Season 1. So, like, I knew. I was kind of ready. I was like, his team's kind of cheap. He's playing kind of well. I don't know. Like you all said, he's basically every fighting game he plays. He's really good at finding super strong strategies really fast and executing on it. Again, like being confident in your choices. This is a theme with all these players, I would say. Like being really confident with what they're doing, being willing to take risks when you have to take risks. That's how you kind of set yourself apart. And Kindevu and all the players we're talking about today, they've all done that, and I think they all have that in common.
Yeah, always someone to look out for, especially with his large swath of fighting game experience. So very cool to see him in Dragon Ball FighterZ, and pretty much any fighting game he sets his eyes on. We're going to go over down to 23. Also from Japan, we have a big BlazBlue legend. Got to rep the scene. We have Matoi. Also pretty much revered in Dragon Ball FighterZ for his Android 21. Season 1, he came in at 25th at EVO. Season 2, he got 7th at Red Bull Finals. He got 9th at EVO, and he also got 5th at SEAM. He's taken out notable players such as Fenrich, Shanks, Wawa, Bombaban, Tachikawa, and plenty more not listed on his head count.
Yeah, this man has put many bodies in bags when it comes to Dragon Ball FighterZ, and he was pretty much just like a Japanese local monster in season 1. You can see he did come out to EVO and get that 25th placing, but as the scene and the global tour grew to be a true global tour and had all kinds of tournaments spread out, he really blossomed in the Dragon Ball FighterZ scene, right? Because obviously, as you guys mentioned, a really good BlazBlue player already, so we knew he had that capability, and then he reached that level in season 2 and getting just phenomenal placings overall, and then beating some of the best players Dragon Ball FighterZ has to offer, all with that Android 21 along the way. I mean, he really made the most out of that character that I saw, and he was always one of the players that I looked to for that tech. So big ups to Matoi for sure for holding it down in season 2 and hopefully beyond.
Yeah, so Matoi was probably one of the first people, from a US perspective, of course, who was using that Bardock SSJ Goku shell that we all quickly got very familiar with as more and more people picked it up. But even though like that shell kind of fell off overall, like he stuck with it. It's really like Subatomic Sabers, where he had his team and he kept just pulling more strategy. So he had a lot of like knowledge that people did not know, which definitely was a big advantage in tournaments. And he's just been all around like a really good player, especially in season 2.
Yeah, he's been great. It was interesting to see him kind of break out in season 2, because season 1, most of the time, the only place you could catch him was on the Cyclops gaming streams, where he'd be, grinding away with Fenrich and Goichi, and Dogura. But yeah, it was really cool to see him come out in season 2 and show his stuff in yet another fighting game. Moving down to 22, we have Geeks Pro Gaming B, another BlazBlue player actually, coming from Japan. Can't stop us. We got season 1, EVO 25th. Season 2, he came in at 9th at World Tour Finals. He came in at 9th at World Tour Japan and 5th at EVO. He has many notable wins. A lot of the time, I feel like these are just going to be many names on these body counts here. We got Sonic Fox, Bombaban, Tachikawa, Apollo Japan, Chris G. Very well known for just sticking with his guns with Kid Buu, Gohan, Yamcha, and being a pretty much a pretty nutty player as far as the professional players go. Is that's something he's very known for. Is he, like LK said earlier, is that he's really confident in the things he decides to do, but he also errs on the side of like a little more crazy decisions, which makes him really entertaining to watch. He's definitely one of my favorite people in the community as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I think his team, his play style, it all speaks to being from like that school of Kazunoko, right? I mean, that's definitely what he gives me, like the type of vibe he gives me. And I mean, he's placed incredibly well, right? We see the placings on the PGRZ list. We have a top 8 at EVO. We have a 25th at EVO, 9th place at 2 Red Bull events. Like, just an incredible performer for sure. And he's always been entertaining to watch because of his aggressive style of play and just having all the faith in the world in those decisions that he makes. So I think that's really what's led him to as much success as he has, right? A lot of the time, LK has already alluded to having that confidence in your decision making that really makes you special as a Dragon Ball FighterZ player, and B has that in strides. And I think he really is the person that has taken that Kazunoko formula and been the most successful with it besides Kazunoko himself. So yeah, I always like watching B.
Yeah, like in season 1, we didn't really like hear that much from him. It was basically just Evo. That was a huge tournament too, right? So while getting 25th is definitely an accomplishment at a tournament at that size, like there wasn't really that much like buzz about him. But definitely in season 2, he came out swinging. Multiple World Tour events, of course. He got top 8 at Evo, which is a huge step up from getting 25th. Quite difficult to do, also with considering who went. And he's just been a presence, just way more of a presence the entirety of season 2. So if there was a season 3 actual World Tour events, we would definitely be hearing from him again.
Yeah, for sure. He really loves this game, and he is pretty much playing it as much as he possibly can. And he's just I think he's a really great member to have in the community. He's super funny, really dedicated, very cool guy. So we're going to move over to our last player of the day. We are going to be coming in at number 21 from Japan, another free agent. We have Kaimato. He is also very well known for being a Vegito and Teen Gohan player. Early on in season 1, he was rocking those characters before anyone else really picked them up competitively. He came in at 5th at SEAM that year. Tokyo Game Show he won, took that home, coming in at 1st. And season 2, he got 9th at EVO and 7th at KBO X TSB. He is one of the few people to have beaten Goichi outside of players like Sonic Fox. He's also defeated Hook Gang God, Moke, Bombaban, and Tachikawa, to name a few more.
Yeah, I mean, just that notable win alone, Goichi, speaks volumes, right? With how dominant of a player Goichi has been throughout the game's lifespan. And just a super impressive player. I mean, the darling of Fighting Tuesdays, I would say. And one of those guys that started off real strong, and then, as you mentioned, as like a Vegeta Teen Gohan player, and then as those characters got changed, he kind of drifted away from them, did a lot of soul searching, had some struggles, but then bounced back, right? Persevered. I think that's always a story that warms people's hearts. So Kaimart, I think, has been a fan favorite for a long time. It's been cool to see him really grow as a player as well. You can see the first place at Tokyo Game Show. He's got a full tournament win under his belt too, which propels him to a spot like 21. So it's been cool to watch him grow as a player. This is really the first time I was familiar with him as a player, was Dragon Ball FighterZ. So it's been dope to watch his journey this whole time.
Yeah, Kaimato, we got another Melty Blood legend in the 30 to 21. Just like Hirohito, he also played a pretty unconventional character in that game, and he also plays unconventional characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ, playing Teen Gohan before he really took off as like a top 3 character, playing Vegito when he dropped and people were kind of sleeping on him. He's got his own kind of flair, super willing to take big risks, which is important in this game, and he has the characters that help him do it, so it's a really good combination. I'm really glad to see him this high on this list.
Yeah, I like his Dragon Ball FighterZ story a lot as well. Ringe touched on it a little bit, is that Kaimato had this very, very big slump a little bit. About, like, I want to say it was like early season 2, mid-season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. He was going through a big slump at Fighting Tuesdays. Tournaments he was going to. Had a lot of frustrations with the game. And it was super cool to see him stick it out and then start pulling in the results again once he got into a better mindset. So I think he's a really inspiring player. In case people didn't know about him or know that story about him, is that he pretty much fought through his misgivings with the game and really found his stride and started putting up the results. So that is going to be it for our list today. Next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, we'll be doing 20 through number 11, getting up to the final players on the lists. Only 20 more left, pretty much, right? So my predictions are, I don't actually know. For 20 through 11, is that when I saw the list today, I actually got thrown for a bit of a loop. I was expecting things to be ordered like differently. Some players going to be in completely different spots. I was also surprised to see 1 or 2 people in in the 30 through 21 portion and not the 20 through 11. So right now, my predictions are kind of just on the haywire. I'm not really sure who's going to be where. At least for 20 through 11. I'm pretty confident in my 10 through 1. But as far as Wednesday goes, I'm not really sure.
I think we'll see a few names that I'm pretty confident on. I think we'll see Nokami. Nokami I'm pretty confident on. Others, I'm not sure. The other names that I'm thinking of are Chris G, but I could totally see Chris G being like 10 or 9. Or who was it? There was one more that I was thinking of as well that I could see.
I feel like
in this
Taco
area.
and Apology Man will be in there somewhere.
Okay. Like I can Apology Man's another one that I could see being like 10 or 9. That's why like I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be on the higher end, but I'm not sure about top 10. It's really hard to say, right? Because it's spanning from such a long time period.
Yeah, I think Taco's a good pick though.
Isn't Taco already on the list though?
Oh yeah, he
Was
was.
he?
He was.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
so
he was.
never
Yeah.
mind.
I was about to say, wait.
You know,
did I say
I'm
Taco?
crazy. I'm crazy.
Have we seen
Yeah.
Seo?
Sale's Air
Sale's
51.
Air 51.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. He's an alien. Unlike you, I definitely got mixed by today's list. There are people that
I'm
I
really
thought would
not
definitely
sure.
be on there that are not on there, and by that logic, they can't be on later because they didn't play as much in season 2. I thought Nakio was going to be top 20, like unquestionably, almost. Personally. On top of that, so I'm kind of with y'all where like 1 to 10 is not that hard to figure out. But like people who I could see being in the next group that you guys haven't listed, there's a few JP players I would think of, like Bambaban. I think is like an easy like 15 to 13
Yeah.
pick.
In my head, he's like top 10 kind of. So
but you gotta consider
thinking
it's
about
the whole
list,
period,
thinking
right?
about the
In such a
list,
season
right?
2. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm thinking of it too. Like if I'm considering both years, he didn't really make a splash until season 2. So like literally like the end of season 1 at the World Tour finals. That's when everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's Bambaban," right? So like a player like him, there are a lot of border people too. Like Hook is like a kind of border person.
Hook. That was
I feel like he'll be like between 11 and like
I think
5 or
he could be
something
like
that. I
between
don't
17
know.
and like 13. It's like a pretty good split. There's not that many EU players left, and the EU people I'm thinking of are probably top 10, or I would be surprised. The only person who has not been mentioned from EU who might not be top 10 and would have to be literally like 11th would be like Shanks. But I think Shanks is like a top 10 personally. So yeah,
it'll
there's
be
a lot.
interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, Wednesday is going to be the real interesting one, I think.
Yeah, I thought today was pretty interesting to start with.
Yeah, I mean today obviously is interesting, but we know.
I think
we know
Wednesday is
it.
going to shake it up even more. It's going to be fun to see.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's definitely been interesting.
I think that probably about wraps it up. Unless you guys have anything else to add.
No, looking forward to the next one. Thanks for having me on every week so far. And it's just been, it's gonna get real cool to see who exactly is in the 20 to 11 range, and then how that's all ordered, the whole top 20 to me. So I can't wait to get to it.
All right. Well, thank you guys both so much for coming through today. I'll let Ringe get back to his Dota. Sorry for cutting
Don't
out of your
snitch
Dota
on me,
time.
bro.
But I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the 20 through 11 list. You can look out for that on the PG Stats Twitter, and make sure you type in the !PGRZ in the Twitch chat if you would like to read the Red Bull articles about each player written about today and the past week. So thank you again, guys. Catch you later.